way that nothing else does, and that's courage. And that fight turned within a matter of seconds from being an event that was being laughed at and ridiculed in the arena to one that absolutely thrilled the people who were watching.
The fight caught the attention of fans outside the ring as well. The victorious Christy Martin landed on the cover of Sports Illustrated, which touted her as boxing's new sensation. The coal miner's daughter had come a long way from her small town in West Virginia. She left home to become a school teacher, but wound up in a gym in Tennessee.
When she showed up at my gym, she showed up with her mother, a little baby Pomeranian dog, and a Christy. And I'm going like, oh my God. In my gym, I got a woman, a dog, and a mother. I said, this can't work, you know, she's got to go. I had it rigged up with one of my lightweights to have Christy's ribs broken. Well, you know, she caught on fast. She trained harder than my men fighters. She paid better attention to my men fighters. And I told Christy, I said, I'm going to make you the most famous woman fighter in the world. And I think between both of us, we've done that.
Even the skeptics admitted that Christy had talent, but talent alone wouldn't be enough. The best opportunity required the right connections.
She came to me in distress and asked me would I promote her. I was sort of hesitant, you know. I didn't know whether I would or whether I wouldn't, but I told her to demonstrate what she could do, you know, in the ring. And so she jumped up and she started shadow boxing, and she was throwing a lot of combinations and hooks to the body and things, you know, that I thought was very impressive.
King became the first major promoter to sign a woman to a contract, a dream most fighters, male or female, never achieve.
Boxing is very much a male-dominated sport, and that's why I tried to just do my thing, fit in, not cause any waves. But I would have things such as, why is she fighting on this card? She's taking so-and-so, you know, my male fighter spot. He should be on pay-per-view. He should be the fighter promoted by Don King.
Since the fight last March, Martin has been bombarded with media and publicity requests. Her boxing outfit is on display at New York's Fashion Cafe, and she's fielding movie offers. Martin seems aware that knockouts inside the ring, combined with marketing outside the ring, may be the best way to prolong her earning power.
It's just as any business, and that's what boxing is a business. You have to promote your product. And I, Christy Martin, am my product. So I need to go out there and worry about selling myself. I can't go out there and worry about putting all of women's boxing on my shoulder and carrying everyone to the forefront.
Christy's talented. She's talented both in her ability in the ring and her ability to promote herself and to carry herself in a way that people find captivating.
Once considered the lowest rung on the boxing ladder, women are now a curiosity in great demand. While women once were earning $50 to $100 per round to fight on an undercard, many now receive 10 times that amount.
Like a lot of promoters, when we first started out, we put Christy on the card, but they said, Christy, you don't get paid, and you guys got to pay for the opponent. After the fight, they would come to me and they'd say, guys, she stole my crowd, she stole my press, she was the best fight of the night, what you got to have to bring her back. Christy's fights now, I don't think you're going to get her in the ring for less than 100,000.
Martin hasn't fought since November 1996 when she appeared on the undercard of Tyson Holyfield. That night she improved her professional record to 28-3 and earned $75,000 and a new BMW. She's since pushed her asking price to 6 figures. King thinks she's beginning to push it too far.
She's an exciting part of the show, but the people didn't plop their money down to see Christy, you know what I mean? But somehow or another, I think she done reversed it. I think somebody have told her she's Tyson, you know, and Tyson should be fighting on the undercard for her.
Until they can settle their differences, King has turned his attention to the other woman in the ring that night last March, Irish fighter Deidre Gogarty.
Joe Louis needed Max Mellion, and Ali needed Frazier, Christy Martin needed Deidre Gogarty, and vice versa. The fight between Deidre and...
Deidre Gogarty is a big, big part of the popularity of women's boxing. If she just stayed down the first time she got knocked down, women's boxing would not be where it is today. The fact that she got up and fought back bravely was the fact that made that fight compelling.
I would read articles about the fight, and it was all Christy, 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 and I kind of felt, you know, well, I was there too, you know. But thankfully, the boxing fraternity didn't just see Christy Martin that night. They saw another girl, too, that could really progress in women's boxing.
The promoters around the country have paid Deidre very, very well. I don't know what the scale is for other women, because Deidre's the only person I've ever been involved with. I know that they're getting less than she is.
In Gogarty's loss to Martin, she gave up 17 pounds, but that fight pushed her paydays to a $10,000 minimum. On March 2nd, Deidre achieved what every boxer wants. She won a title belt. According to the Women's International Boxing Federation, Deidre is now the super featherweight champion of the world.
When Deidre first came over here, I thought she was really wasting her time. But, you know, they're not taking a backseat to anybody now.
I fought Christy Martin because it was a big opportunity, even though we knew she was a lot heavier. It was just an opportunity I couldn't miss. Some people thought I shouldn't have done it, but it turned out to be the best thing I ever did.
Making a strong statement, King announced that Gogarty, and not Martin, is likely to fight on the Tyson-Holyfield rematch card. But according to Martin, that doesn't change the fact that she is still the fighter to beat.
I think women's boxing is going to move a lot as Christy Martin moves. No matter who comes along, what promoter tries to create the next female sensation, they're always going to have to beat Christy Martin before they can be legitimate. Women today are making more money than ever for one reason. That's because of the show that Christy Martin puts on every time that I go out there. They're making more money now than I was making a year ago, and like after having 1 or 2 fights. So I really think they should all be sending me 10% of their purse.
At 28, Martin considers this the prime of her career, yet she has no fight scheduled for the foreseeable future. If she fades away, women's boxing go with her. According to Don King, this is only the beginning for female fighters.
I took Christy, and I made Christy the household word. The chemistry will come about. It don't have to be Christy Martin. You keep giving other women a chance, you're going to have a sensational woman fighter.
And J.C. Penney, I love your style.
Boxing promoters make it their business to gauge what the public wants. Since last March, promoters Don King and Bob Arum have begun to include female matchups on the undercards of their biggest fights. A striking change of policy for Arum, who within 8 months went from publicly denouncing women in the sport to shopping for women to sign.
There are a lot of people like me who feel that women boxing is revolting.
I don't think there's anything wrong in women's boxing. I just don't happen to like it. I'm primed and ready with my products to follow public taste. And if the public wants to see more women boxing, then I'm prepared to do that.
As part of his preparation, Arum signed his first female fighter. She's in Christy Martin's weight class, but Lucia Riker couldn't be more different. A 4-time world kickboxing champion, Lucia left her native Holland in search of a new challenge and found it in a Los Angeles boxing gym.
I always wanted to be a fighter because when I was a little kid, my dad watched Muhammad Ali, and he really admired him, so I thought when I'm going to be a fighter, he might like me too. I think I'm good in what I'm doing. I think I'm one of the best, and I just want to show the world that a woman is capable of being a boxer and a good one.
Since her professional boxing debut in 1996, Riker's record is 5-0 with 5 knockouts. But she and Martin have yet to meet, and Lucia would love nothing more than to take Christy's honorary WBC championship belt.
I think I can beat her. Becoming the champ, that's my first goal. And from there I'll see what will happen, how female boxing will grow, and how people accept it.
Recently, the Women's International Boxing Federation ranked Lucia Riker the best pound-for-pound female boxer in the world. If Riker is considered that good, why hasn't anyone ever heard of her? Arum claims the boxing press isn't interested.
It becomes very, very difficult to talk, for example, with the usual sports writers about women boxing. People who cover the sport feel that it is something that really demeans the sport.
The first thing that comes to my mind when someone mentions it's a novelty. General consensus among the boxing press, especially with older writers, is that it's just another thing we don't really need.
Sports writers, and indeed many others, may disapprove of women in boxing. But athletes like Lucia Riker say they enjoy it too much to walk away no matter what.
My whole life for like a couple months is only about that moment. That moment that my hands go up and then it's over. I challenge myself, I challenge my fears. I have to be very disciplined, and I like that lifestyle. I like the reward of winning.
Whether or not women can hang on to the gains they've made in boxing will depend a great deal on promoters of Arum stature, men who have the money and power to create and sustain progress.
It's really going to be public acceptance. If the public embraces these women and their fights in such a manner that I'm selling more tickets and attracting more television revenue because they're on the cards, then I would be inclined to move them up on the cards and let them fight semi-main events and finally main events. But essentially, it's not going to be my choice. It's going to be that of the public.
The overwhelming opinion within boxing circles is that a Riker-Christy Martin matchup would be the biggest event to date in women's boxing. According to Arum and Don King, no such fight is in the works. Coming up, what if it was your daughter?
Be in a boxing ring. I mean, if that's what she wanted to do, I would support her 100%.
Women boxing, it's an exhibition. It's not sport.
At age 7, Megan Menard has trained for more years than many professional female boxers. Her dad, Keith, works with Deidre Gorgety, as well as several male fighters out of his Lafayette, Louisiana gym. Keith put Megan into martial arts when she was 4, and at age 6, she began to box.
If you're real fragile, people will sense that and try to take advantage of you. And I don't want that to happen to my little girl, because I know there'll be a point in time when Daddy's not going to be able to be there to take care of her. She can defend herself. She can go on a date without having to worry about a date rape.
After 8 months of boxing, Megan had her...
They sparred, and she got in the ring with him, and this was her first boxing match. And I was real proud of her until she took a body shot.
He caught me in the stomach, and then I got tears all over my face. And then I just wanted to box and see if I can win. My dad told me to, if someone punches me, just keep going.
She didn't want to disappoint Daddy because she was in the ring and she wanted to impress me, which she did. My heart bled for her at that time when she took the body shot. And I thought about it after, and I talked to her about it. I said, Megan, do you want to do this again? And she said, sure, Dad, it was a piece of cake. And she said, when he hit me, it didn't really hurt me, but it hurt my feelings.
Keith admits that seeing his daughter continue in the sport will be much tougher than seeing a son box.
That's the sense that a dad has looking at his son, you know, fighting, street fighting, or whatever, and it'll just make you tough for him, you know. Whereas a little girl, especially if you see her with a black eye or coming in on the shorter end of the stick, where someone's really, you know, giving her a beating, that would be tough to swallow. That's my major fear if Megan chooses to, you know, box amateur or pro. You know, she's very cute right now. I'm just scared that, you know, it could disfigure her, because let's face it, you know, men are attractive to pretty women. I'd hate to see my daughter with a broken nose and no teeth in the front.
Because it's like my dad works in it, and I just want to keep going so he'll be proud of me.
For years, men have entered the boxing ring seeking glory, wealth, and fame. But for female fighters who have battled just to gain entrance to the ring, such rewards are few and fleeting. Wealth and fame are not yet realistic goals. So what does boxing give these women? Why do they do it?
It gives me a whole dimension to my life that I just can't imagine living without.
Boxing is a way of releasing all the stress, the aggression, the competitiveness.
I think it's good to channel your aggression. In England, girls are taught that they're not supposed to do that.
All boxers enter the ring knowing they can get hurt. However, female fighters must deal with a reality that doesn't usually concern men, that a punch in the face could disfigure them. In a society where such a premium is placed on female beauty, women boxers are taking quite a risk.
Women do seem to be valued for their looks and, you know, appraised by their looks in a way that men are not similarly appraised by their physical.
When I got my first cut, I cried, you know, because I didn't want to get a cut, you know, on my eye. I didn't want to look like Miss Scarface. So it was a decision that I had to make if I wanted to keep on or not, and I decided to keep on.
My father, being from old school, he's old school Japanese, he was very concerned. He said, what about your face? He didn't care about, well, do you really want to do this? What about the training? What about the gym? He was concerned. You're a girl. What about your face? You'll never be able to get married.
Women boxers are struggling to be accepted as athletes, yet they are also aware that their femininity can be used as a marketing tool.
Good-looking people always have a big advantage. The fact that the fighters, women fighters that we've selected happen to be attractive, I think is a plus.
You have to do what you got to do to get heard. If I have to show a little cheesecake, a little TNA, I'm going to do it.
This is a sport that we decide that we want to do. It's not for everybody, but it's for me.
Coming up, a look at the medical issues. There is a wave of European boxers coming to America, many fleeing a system that won't sanction women's boxing based on concerns that it may be too dangerous for women.
There's no comparison between Europe and the United States as regards opportunity. For me, it just was years of frustration and disappointment living in Ireland, and literally no chance of a career at all. America's just a more progressive society, and there's a lot of changes, and people aren't afraid of new things.
It's already really big in the States compared to England. People in America are just more broad-minded than they are in England. It's better here. I think I might stay.
In England, it's just not recognised at all. I mean, we've tried so many times unsuccessfully to get the British Boxing Board of Control, you know, to recognise us. I think it's just the old boying network, as it's called in England. You know, it's a man's sport and it's for men only.
There is virtually no data by which to judge the long-term effects a boxing career could have on a woman's body, or whether a woman is more susceptible to injury than a man. Because of this lack of evidence, American doctors believe they can't deny women access to the ring. The Europeans take the opposite view. Without more information, they won't allow women to box.
The British Boxing Board has no objection to women's boxing, provided it can be proved that a woman boxer is no more at risk than a male boxer.
By no means are we saying that a man and a woman is the same, but in general, the physiologic tissues are going to react very similar.
What about the menstrual cycle?
They are not at a greater risk for injury during their menstrual cycle, and their performance level can be just as good.
What about women's breasts? Is battering at them going to help create cancer?
The literature does not show that prior trauma, prior scarring will lead in the future to problems in a woman's breast.
What about the effect of punches to the head? Are women more susceptible than men?
No. A man or a woman who takes the same punch right in their nose has just the same chance of getting it broken.
The responsible administrators in boxing, in the interest of the whole of the sport across the world, and I number myself amongst them, are not going to be railroaded into making decisions to just let in women's boxing without being sure that in the long run it won't damage the sport.
We cannot do things different for women unless there is data in the literature to back up what we're going to do that would be different between a man and a woman.
The European Boxing Union will decide soon whether it will sanction women's boxing. Until that time, these women will continue to train and fight in the United States, joined by a growing number of Japanese women who are switching from martial arts to boxing. While the sanctioning bodies grapple with these questions, women want to take responsibility for their own bodies.
I've suffered no adverse effects to my health like many of the other women. So until somebody can give me concrete evidence, then I'm sorry, but I'll just go ahead and box.
Aside from the concern about how a woman's body will be affected by absorbing blows, there looms another issue. How will the sport as a whole be affected when a woman is seriously injured or even dies while boxing. When we come back, the story of Katie Dallum and what happened the first night she entered the ring. This Fact and Figure is brought to you by the new Chevy Malibu. On March 16, 1876, Rose Harlan beat Nell Saunders in the first public female boxing match in America. For the victory, Harlan won $200 and a silver butter dish. Seven-year-old Katie Dallum loved to paint. It was her way of expressing feelings for which she could find no words. In her work as a drug and alcohol counselor for the state of Missouri, she listened to stories from patients who told her of their broken lives, of crimes committed for drugs, of time spent in jail. Katie's other emotional outlet was exercise. She first discovered how good the physical hard work and discipline made her feel when she joined the Air Force. As she grew older, she experimented with martial arts. Kickboxing gave her a sense of personal power nothing else had.
As a female, there's just not that many opportunities for me in this area. So I guess part of the reason I'm drawn to that is to have a chance to get an opportunity to fight. I'm waiting for the right opportunity, and when my instructor thinks I'm ready.
Women's boxing was a burgeoning sport in Kansas City, so Katie stopped kickboxing and found a new trainer, someone with a reputation for supporting female fighters.
Most guys used to laugh at me when I'd ask them to put a girl on a card. They'd laugh at me. Then after a while, they were begging me for them.
While most fighters trained for years preparing for their professional debuts, Katie had spent only 6 weeks with trainer Joe Gallegos before he decided she was ready for her first fight.
Her manager called looking for a fight. He initially asked for one of my other fighters that weighed 155, 160 pounds. The only girl I had ready to fight was Samaya, and if they were willing to take that fight, I would put Samaya in there only to give the crowd a woman fight.
Sumaya Anani had been training for 6 months and had a 4-0 record under her belt. These qualifications made Katie nervous, but her trainer assured her she'd have no problem.
I had just been told that she had fought about 3 or 4 times. He said, you know, that I would win this fight easily.
Gallegos' confidence sprang from Katie's 35-pound weight advantage. The Missouri State Boxing Commission reserves the right to grant special permission to promoters interested in staging fights despite glaring weight differentials.
Since the fact there's not a lot of women boxers, they're kind of lenient on weight differential. And since my girl was a smaller girl of the two and we were spotting the weight differential, it was more up to our camp whether we would spot that kind of weight.
One thing that I was thinking was, well, if she's heavier, then maybe she'll be slower. I never thought about backing out. I mean, I just knew that I'd have to really make sure that she didn't get a hold of me.
She knew stepping in there that she was going to absorb some punishment.
It just seemed like every round was the same. Katie never threw punches. She just kept getting hit over and over and over and over and over.
I was wondering why she just wasn't holding her hands up.
I really didn't even know I was hurting her that bad.
The corner should be able to see and know their fighter to the point to think, I got to get her out of there.
I woke up about 2 weeks later, I think. I didn't know what had happened to me. I didn't know that I even got hurt. I just remember getting into the ring, her coming at me, the arms hitting me in a way that I couldn't recognize. It totally blew me away, the first hit, when I could not figure out what was going on.
The women are on the novice level of boxing right now, and they there's no defense. It's all offense. They haven't progressed to the point where they know how to slip punches or block punches. They go out and exchange, which tends to make a very exciting fight for the crowd. Do they like to see blood? They always like to see blood, but they fire up when there's a nosebleed.
When Katie's nose was broken and she had blood all over her face, I heard guys in the crowd going, oh, this is better than the guys' fight. They were yelling, kick her ass! I kept feeling like I was in some kind of Roman gladiator kind of thing where the crowd is like paying to see blood and wants it, and nobody wants to disappoint them. And the fact that Katie got hurt just made the crowd happy.
The fight was scheduled for 4 2-minute rounds. Although Katie did get bloody, She was never knocked down or given a standing 8 count. Katie's family believes the fight should have been stopped earlier.
See, 4 people can stop the fight. That's myself, the doctor, the commission, and the referee. And none of us seen anything that, you know, to stop a fight for. All Katie had was a bloody nose. That's all she had. You don't stop a fight for a bloody nose. But then in the last round, she got caught on the ropes there, so I threw the towel in.
When she came out of the ring, I went up to her and touched her arm, and her arm was cold as ice, and her pupils were dilated, and she looked at me but didn't seem to know who I was, and I knew she was in shock and kind of stunned. And I said her name, and she didn't respond.
We got back into the dressing room and passed out back there.
Katie was rushed to the hospital. A CAT scan revealed a life-threatening blood clot, which required emergency surgery.
The blood clot was there because one of the veins that drain blood from the brain to the major veins inside the skull had been torn. So blood started accumulating between the brain and the skull. I did the surgery. Even at that point, I was very concerned that she was going to be able to survive.
I'm a nurse, and I've seen people get hurt before, but every person that I've seen that was in the shape that Katie was in had either been shot in the head or had been ejected from a car and had gone like 30 feet through the air and landed on their head.
When the surgery was over and Katie was in intensive care, Stephanie had to inform the rest of the family. Before she left, she crept to Katie's bedside to say goodbye.
I told her that I loved her and that she needed to do what was best for her, that if she didn't live, then I would understand. When I went home, I thought the next phone call I got would be for them asking me to donate her organs.
According to Dr. Mojica, Katie's recovery was remarkable. In less than 3 weeks, she was speaking and taking steps. But being alive is a far cry from being herself. The brain damage she suffered will require months of painful physical therapy to relearn basic motor skills.
When Katie came out of it, I told her that she wouldn't be able to box again, and that really upset her. And I said, well, you're still going to be a fighter, but this is a different kind of a fight. You're going to have to fight to get your life back. Is there anything special you're supposed to bring today?
I don't know.
Okay.
She has also fought to get her memory back. Rehab counselors give her assignments in a workbook. Day after day, she returns them completed, although without her sister's help, she can't remember that the workbook even exists. She no longer paints, and once an avid reader, the pictures in a magazine now hurt her eyes. She used to love to drive, but now gets lost too readily to go out alone. It will take a year to determine how much permanent damage has been done to Katie's brain. Her family must prepare for the possibility that this is Katie's future.
I guess it's not hard for me to see her struggle to work hard because she's always done that. I think the hard thing is to see how much she's lost that she now has to get back. I've kind of had to become her memory for her and go with her places and do things with her and then tell her about it later on when she doesn't remember it. Okay, now what kind of sugar do you like on that? To fix her breakfast in the morning and an hour later for her to not know that she's eaten breakfast, and she just has to take my word for it.
I can't live alone. I can't work. I can't drive. There's just everything's changed. I was working full-time with a master's degree in drug and alcohol counseling, and now I can't work at all.
The doctors told me that I might need to take care of her for the rest of her life or find a home for her somewhere. And that's pretty hard to hear.
While the Dallums are exploring whether Katie has grounds for a lawsuit, it remains to be seen whether her experience will have an impact on women's boxing. If the players in this tragic story are any indication, it will be business as usual.
Every fighter that steps into the ring has to understand that they're going to be getting hit in the head. Katie Dallum approached me with a dream, and I was just trying to help make that dream come true. And if I had to do over, I'd probably make the fight again.
I'll do everything the same way I did before, because it's, to me, it's the right way to do it.
For right now, I plan on boxing again.
Katie went into it like it was an athletic competition of skill and something you could be proud of. That's how Katie looked at it. The promoters, the crowd, it was a spectacle.
I really miss going to work out boxing, you know. I know that the fight hurt me too bad to go get paid to fight. I mean, $300 isn't worth dying over. Just feel that what happened was a real bad thing, and that you know, sometimes I don't have any idea why it happened or anything like that, and it's like a dream you can't really remember having, but you know it wasn't the right dream. I feel that I'm lucky to be alive.
If women's boxing is going to take hold, young girls like these may be the reason. The girls ages 8 to 18 became eligible to register with USA Boxing in 1994. The first year, almost 500 signed up. The second year, that number more than doubled. A growing amateur pool could provide the talented female fighters necessary to end the rampant mismatches professional women boxers are experiencing. And just as boxing needs these girls, the girls seem to need boxing.
It teaches me control. When I'm mad and stuff, I like to take my anger out on bags. I think it's important that girls should be able to show anger in some kind of way. It makes me feel like I have more control and power in myself and in my life.
Makes me feel pumped up and makes me feel really good about myself. It helps a lot with my confidence. It's not just how strong you are, it's how smart you are. It gives you a lot of confidence in yourself.
Boxing runs in the Rosario family. Being a girl never stopped 10-year-old Megan from sharing the dream of her father and brother to win the Golden Gloves one day.
Girls can do anything what boys can do.
We put that into Megan, you know, that she can do just as well as a man. Whatever a man can do, she can do.
Boxing teaches them how to act right, how to be tough when she has to, and sweet when she wants to be.
Oh, I could assure you she'll be a Golden Glove winner. Because of the background that we have and the experience that we have in boxing, she will.
Pay mind to what you're doing now. You're doing all right now, okay? I know you're not tired. Are you tired?
I would love for her to one day compete in the gloves and, who knows, maybe go on and win Olympic medal. I mean, that's a mother's dream, an Olympic medal.
A step toward the Olympics will happen this summer when USA Boxing will hold the first amateur national boxing championships for girls ages 8 and up, which will be televised by ESPN. In 1994, women gained the right to compete in local amateur competitions called the Golden Gloves. Registration for the New York Golden Gloves has doubled in the first 3 years. The competition has drawn a wide range of women who have overcome prejudice and gained empowerment.
When I first walked in the gym, they didn't feel like we belong in the ring. A woman belongs at home, you know, having babies in the kitchen and stuff, not in the ring boxing. A lot of women are not going for that anymore. We're here, and we're here to stay. I know I'm here to stay. I can't speak for all others, but I'm here to stay. First, it starts out very easy, but then when we hit them, and we really hit them hard, they know we're not playing.
Overcoming stereotypes is another part of the battle women have to win to gain respect and power in boxing. If teenage girls like Amber recognize that struggle and are willing to fight that fight, it may bode very well for the future of the sport.
Yeah, it does make me so mad that guys could do anything, but when a girl wants to do it, they make a big old fuss about it. When I first started out boxing, I was like, oh, I'll just try it to see if I could do it. But now that I've tried it, I do want to become more, I want to become a champion.
What will it take for women's boxing to gain widespread credibility and respect? The experts all agree on the first step.
Public acceptance through television will make it succeed or fail.
Television is crucial to the growth of any sport. You just can't grow without some presence on television.
If women can get more time on television and add to the number of matches put on network television, yes, that'll help.
If television exposure is a key, a door was opened yesterday when ABC aired the first women's fight ever to appear on network television. It didn't take long for Yvonne Trevino to make history. She retained her WIBF Super Flyweight title with a first-round TKO of Brenda Rouse at the Las Vegas Hilton. What impact this fight will have remains to be seen. Women boxers are at a crossroad, and their future is hard to predict.
There are two ways it can go. One, downhill to oblivion, or two, it could become more appealing. People want to see it. They want to see women in main events. Until there is a demand to do a women's boxing match as a main event, women's boxing will not have arrived.
Every sport thrives on stars. Women's boxing will need to develop stars. Christy Martin is one. There needs to be more than just one.
You give the people what they want, and they will respond. And right now, women's boxing is in. And I think that it has to be nurtured, you know, so that it can be cultivated and grow. There is no limit.
This Fact and Figure is brought to you by State Farm Insurance. Barbara Buttrick is the president of the Women's Boxing Federation. The 4'11" Buttrick was the undefeated women's world fly and bantamweight boxing champion from 1950 to 1960. Spectacle or sport? The answer to that question may ultimately be decided by historians. Perhaps a more pressing question is, will women's boxing survive? If advertisers are willing to pay for it, if television is willing to cover it, and fans are clamoring to see it, these women of the ring may continue to receive opportunities to practice the sweet science they love, and for which they have found a passion to play.